In the chaos of World War II, soldiers faced dangers that reached far beyond the battlefield. It wasn't just the bullets or the bombs, it was hunger, freezing nights, disease, and the daily uncertainty of survival in a world on fire. What kept these men alive wasn't always strength or superior weapons. Often, it came down to cleverness, small, ingenious tricks born from desperation and passed quietly between soldiers. Techniques so effective that some were classified, recorded only in whispers and field notes. These weren't just battlefield tactics. They were the subtle, practical solutions that meant the difference between life and death. And astonishingly, many of them still have value today for campers, off-grid builders, and history lovers alike. These wartime survival methods are more than relics. They're timeless lessons in ingenuity. Let's step back into the days when necessity fueled innovation and discover how soldiers endured the impossible. Disease was as deadly as enemy fire. Dysentery, typhus, and trenchfoot claimed thousands. To fight the unseen enemy, every soldier carried a bar of carbolic soap, dark red, sharp-smelling, and lethal to bacteria. It wasn't just for washing hands. They used it to clean wounds, sterilize tools, and even disinfect canteens. Losing a bar could mean weeks of suffering, or worse. That simple block of soap became a soldier's invisible shield. Fire was life, but smoke could be death. When lighting a visible flame risked detection, soldiers improvised. An empty tin can, a few holes punched along its sides, and a candle placed inside. The light concealed, bread could be toasted, water warmed, rations cooked, all without revealing a single trace of smoke. A covert stove that's still used by survivalists today. Even a cup of coffee became more than a drink. It was morale in a mug, a reminder of home. Grounds were reused again and again, often mixed with roasted barley or chicory to stretch supplies. That bitter warmth wasn't luxury, it was sanity. Commanders knew morale could be as vital as ammunition. When water ran foul, soldiers turned to strange but effective means. A loaf of dense dark bread crumbled into a cloth, became a crude filter, catching sediment and visible dirt. It didn't kill bacteria, but it was a start, often enough to survive until proper treatment. Cigarettes were currency and leverage. Even non-smokers carried them. One cigarette could buy food, medicine, or information behind enemy lines. Intense encounters, a single offered smoke could distract, disarm, or buy a few precious seconds to act. Among the quiet heroes of war was the humble sewing kit. A few needles and thread meant the difference between comfort and catastrophe. A torn coat in a cold could cost fingers. A ripped mosquito net in the jungle could mean malaria. With those simple tools, soldiers patched boots, repeated gear, and even fished when food ran short. When matches failed and lighters froze, men reached for rags soaked in engine oil or animal fat, stored in tins and ready for rain. Even wet wood would catch from their smoky flame. It stank, it smoked, but it worked. And sometimes that was enough to live another day. Salt, another silent savior. It preserved meat, dried leather, and even pulled moisture from boots overnight. In tropical jungles, where everything rotted, a handful of salt was worth more than gold. And then there was the bread button trick. When uniforms fell apart and replacements never came, soldiers shaped wet bread into small discs, pressed 2 holes through, and dried them in the sun. They hardened into makeshift buttons. Pragia, perhaps, but proof that even in chaos, order mattered. Perhaps the most ingenious survival tool looked like nothing more than a deck of cards. In reality, some were secretly printed with hidden escape maps. When moistened and peeled apart, they revealed the path home. These decks saved lives, and the concept later found its way into Cold War espionage. The brilliance of these methods wasn't just in the tricks themselves, it was in the mindset behind them. Soldiers didn't have technology or endless supply lines. They had creativity, adaptability, and the will to survive. The same candle stove that warmed a foxhole in 1944 can still heat a campsite today. The same improvised water filter could save lives when modern systems fail. History remembers the battles, the generals, their victories, but survival often depended on small, quiet acts of ingenuity. In a world driven by technology, these lessons remind us that the most powerful tools we have are still the simplest: our hands, our minds, and the ability to adapt. If you found these forgotten wartime skills as fascinating as the history that shaped them, subscribe to In the Beginning and share this story. Because sometimes, the greatest secrets of survival aren't lost. They're simply waiting to be remembered.